Hey everybody, and welcome back to the shop. My name's Grant and I'm a boat builder in northern Michigan. Today I'm going to show you how to varnish, or at least my method. Enough gabbing, let's get down to the bench and smear some varnish. A good varnish job comes down to how much time you spend in prep. Now here I'm using 220 on a hard block to knock down all the highs. You'll see in a minute when I hit it with a Scotch-brite to hit all the low spots that the hard block didn't let me get into. This way I've got good tooth for everything. If this were closer to my final coats, I'd be using 320 or 400 to get a nice even scratch that'll disappear with the next coat. The next step is cleanup. You'll notice I'm starting by cleaning my equipment. That way I'm not leaving dust deposits that weren't there to begin with. Then I'll blow off the piece, grab the vacuum and clean things up. Now as I'm doing this, you'll notice that I'm cleaning up the area, not just the piece. And that's another dust control habit that's a good one to get into. I'm using mineral spirits here to wipe it down, but you can absolutely use water on a clean chamois and it'll do just as well. Okay, so I've got my varnish. I'm just going to start out by tapping it on the side of the cup. Got a pretty good load in the brush. Now I'm going to come down to my piece and we're actually going to start shy of the end and work all of our material up to the end rather than leaving a pile here which can run down. Now we're going to go over to the corners and make sure you got a good pile on both sides, lifting up from your lower corner to the top corner. And then coming back to your wet, dry edge here, you want to lift up on your wet side and work back. You can do that both directions. And come back and tip it off. Now tipping is always done from dry edge to wet. Now that's a pretty small piece, but now we're going to go, this is more of a normal size section that I would normally work. We're actually going to come back in here. I had a little extra amount of varnish in the brush that time, that's why I was able to start back as far as I was. If I were on a boat and it was 70 something degrees in here, I would be moving a lot faster than this. But it's a little cool in the building, so I've got a little more time. And this way, I know I'll be all right and not work the solvents out. You need to work quickly with varnishes because it is really easy to actually work the solvents out of your material. When tipping, you want to keep your brush pressure extremely light and you want to try and get as close to 90 degrees to the surface as you can with the brush. That's taking full advantage of the chisel tip. You might have a little forward lean on the brush as you're tipping it off, but not much. I'll go back here. You'll notice I'm putting this down kind of heavy, and that just has to deal with the fact that you want enough volume on the piece to actually pull itself flat. If it's too thin, you'll end up with brush marks. You need to have enough weight in the varnish. Another thing to consider when you're using the cross brush method is always overlap your fresh varnish into your old varnish so you don't end up with holidays. And if you're smarter than me, you will wear short sleeves so you're not dragging your sleeves through the varnish either. That helps. And I think that looks pretty good. This is a short enough piece that I feel comfortable to go back and tip off the full length. If this was about twice this length, I wouldn't want to go back because the rest of the varnish is already starting to set up. That should do. Alright, so it's the morning after I spread the varnish and I thought I should bring you in and show you what the actual end results are from applying the varnish that way. So let me bring you in close and show you what it looks like. Sorry if the glare is a bit much and the camera angle is a bit shaky, but this way you can really see the end results that you get using this method. Now this is coat 7, I think, if I remember right, of applying varnish using the same technique. It's a little dirty, but that just comes down to the fact that I haven't really scrubbed my brush in a few days. So otherwise this would have been a very nice clean finish And if you go with my typical schedule, it still has a few more coats to clean it up. Couple of things to note before I close this video out. I kind of touched on it last night when I was spreading the varnish, and that is modifying your varnish. If you are modifying your varnish, you're going to be using mineral spirits, naphtha, or if you're the person that follows the can to the T, you want to use the proprietary blend of thinners that comes with your brand of varnish. Now, I've modified varnish before, and I found that you kind of lose the luster that you would get from just regular varnish. When you modify it, that's going to have to deal with temperatures and just general working time. If it's too hot, you want to add a little bit, and it'll improve your flow drastically. Another thing that should be mentioned is the number of coats you're putting down. In northern Michigan, you burn through 2 coats of varnish every year if it's left in direct sunlight. So I gotta imagine in a southern climate, you're gonna burn through way more than that. So I would recommend you go find a local professional and find out what do they recommend, what do they put down every year for maintenance coats, and that'll just ensure that you make sure you have a good looking boat every year. You'll notice I was using Total Boat products in this video. They were kind enough to help me out with this project, and another video that's coming up, I'm going to be putting a video out every other Wednesday, so if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and when you do, hit the little bell icon and you'll know when the next video comes out. If I didn't answer all of your questions, make sure you leave a comment down below, and do me a favor, let me know what you want to see as far as swag. I'm trying to get maybe some stickers put together or something, whatever. Just let me know something you may like to have, and that'll make it where I can make these videos more often instead of just spending all my time sanding boats. As always, give it a thumbs up, and we will see you next time.